Hi.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, did you get my email?
Discovered on Spirit Chat, and I'm gonna slaughter your name, so so I won't even try, and you can fill that blank in. But on Spirit Chat, I posted about plastic pollution, which and I'm an environmental activist as a hobby, and so that led me here today because she introduced me to your group and the organization. So I've been looking at YouTubes in the last couple of weeks to figure out who you are. And I haven't signed on for the charter because I just wanted to have more conversation and find out more about what you are, because it kind of feels almost like so real, like exactly what just speaks to my heart.
We're too good to be true. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm sure you guys know, you talk about compassion and you live this life of loving on people and, empathy and passion for humanity. But, so often run up against, oh, well, that's all good for you, Lil, but, this is the real world. And so it's really kind of great to come in contact that there's actually like all these people that share the same vision that I do.
Oh, well, welcome. I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit more about the charter. This call particularly is for our newest ambassadors, and I'm so glad that you're here because this hopefully will fill in some gaps for you, bring it some reality and affirming, hopefully. And speaking of Spirit Chat, I'm excited for everybody to know about Elaine. Hey, Betsy.
I'm excited to let you see my messy self. It's okay.
I love that you're a gardener. I'm so jealous. We just got rid of snow.
Well, we just got rid of snow too, honey.
Oh my God.
Because I'm in Michigan, so we're kind of parallel.
Oh.
But thank you, Sandy. What do you want me to say?
Well, an introduction, a snapshot of who you are, and then I'd like to circle back a little bit later and maybe invite you to share a little bit about our 8.7 community, because we are going to be talking about human trafficking, which happens to be on our agenda anyway.
Okay. Thank you, Sandy. I do a lot of different things. I am an energy healer. I've been doing energy work for over 21 years. I have had the privilege over the years to work with people in medicine, 2 local Michigan medical schools for about 15 years as a part of the National Institute of Health's integrative medicine, understanding that we need to understand in medicine what is healing. So I'm an energy healer, I'm an intuitive, which means that I use the sense that every human has, which is how to listen to divine guidance. I am an author. I have a radio show. I've been on television several times as a quote-unquote expert guest. So I'm very fortunate because I get to do a lot of different things, which allows me to really work for myself. But at 62 years old, I know that, I don't have to stand on the BS platform anymore. In other words, I get to say what an elder gets to say. If nonsense is happening, I call it out. And I think that came from being one of 15 kids. So that helps you to learn that either you speak or you drown. So usually it's drowning and doing all the chores. But I'm just so very grateful because when I said yes to doing healing work and being an intuitive, the creation has said, well, how about if we take you to Peru? How about if we take you to England and have you stand in an active crop circle? How about if we do these things? Which really helps us to understand our deep connection. And so that's what I do.
Thank you.
And the ladies on the screen right now, I hope to God you're not driving. Are you driving?
Betsy.
Yeah.
Honey, do you know how unsafe that is? Please pull over. Seriously.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, we need you.
I only say that because I know of people very recently that I have seen that have been very injured by just that slight distraction. It only takes a second.
Yeah, can you put your phone down? We don't need to see you. Put your phone down on your seat and still hear us?
It is. It is. It
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's just tilted so that you can see me, but I've got my
Okay.
hands on my
Oh,
wheel.
you can't see us. Okay.
Okay. Please be careful.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you.
can hear you.
Very
Okay.
good. And who's calling? Thanks, Elaine. And don't worry. I know there's so much depth and breadth and wisdom and that you all care. All of you have. We're all getting a chance to get to know each other over time, and that's just the way what happens here. Who's 208? Who's calling in on the phone?
Every week you've asked me who's 208, Sandy. It's Donna Mills.
You know what?
And actually,
My brain is so
yeah,
full.
go ahead. It's the great 208 in Idaho.
Donna said she's calling from Idaho, Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah, I'm actually in Portland on my way to Burbank right now to go to my yoga retreat. So, or my teacher training. So the last two women, Lillian and I, didn't hear the last woman's name that spoke. I'm really sorry about that. Elaine, yeah, the two of you and I, we're like a triangle with all of our same stuff. So, I'll introduce myself for people who haven't been on the calls as long as I have, which I don't even know what that's been, like 6 months or something like that. But I found Sandy in the Charter for Compassion through the Center for Partnership Studies and Rian Eisler's work. And the two of them have so much crossover that it was the perfect fit for me. And I have been doing massage therapy and energy work for 20 years. And I also am moving, not out of that, but through it into another paradigm where I have a background in sustainable small acreage farming and ranching, a certified clinical nutritionist, and I have also gone into like local economics and what are like a caring economy, what our economics look like, in as much as it elevates us or degrades us. And so I've created a business called Human Well, and it is to go. What I do is I go into businesses and I consult them with the way that they are speaking to each other and how we choose to run our human resources in a way that, like I said, elevates or denigrates. And when we all rise together. So there's this pyramid dominator system that's, top down kind of nonsense has got to go. And I describe myself as a compassionate disruptor. I will call you out as well. I'm not playing. This system needs to change and shift, and that's what I'm here to do. I came here to disrupt these systems that are preventing us from elevating in our own human consciousness, and from there I'll just stop.
Donna,
and I only have a half an hour before I have to board at 8:30, so I can hang around for another 15 minutes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so Donna is also on our task force designed to end violence against women and children. We call it a partnership for a safe and sacred now, previously called our He for She initiative. Excuse me, and that's a really great task force. And we had planned on talking about human trafficking. And I was going to report to you on my call with UNICEF USA, which went really well, which I will do in a moment. Betsy, as long as you don't look at the phone and you can speak freely and hands-free, we'd love to know who you are. And let me just start by introducing you. Betsy is probably a veteran next to me on this call, and she is our Director of Relationship Outreach. She welcomes all of our new partners and ambassadors, but sometimes I'll be the one to reach out to ambassadors. So you may have been the one receiving it from me, because I know there was a time where Betsy was pretty busy and I was taking over that back. But Betsy, that's what Betsy does, as well as she's just such a dedicated ambassador, bringing us so many amazing critical ideas. So Betsy, say hi.
Hey, yes, I am driving. We're trying to get my new tags for Virginia, which I haven't done yet. And it's just been a nightmare. But speaking of human trafficking, I thought I had posted, and I haven't been able to find it on V2020. Freedom United has a 14-day, today's day 4, I think, maybe day 5. They have a day awareness campaign going on and actions to take every day to help end human trafficking. I'll get that and send it back out on the V2020.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that. Thank you, though. I made note of that, and that's great to know. There is an ambassador in action. There you go.
Yeah.
There's a really great example. Betsy is our model ambassador. She's our poster child for ambassadors. So anyway, everybody, I'm Sandy, and I'm the director of the Women and Girls sector for the Charter for Compassion. I think you already knew that. And I'm a mother, and I'm an interfaith activist, and I share the title of Compassion Ambassador and Disruptor with Donna. We have an awful lot in common in that way. We're both disruptors. I live to weave relationships. What I think would be a really great idea right now, especially, Donna, I know you don't have a lot of time on the call, but, you know, I'm going to jump ahead because I'd like you to kind of hear this. And then I'm going to circle back because I just need to get this in your ears. I had a great conversation yesterday. I'm sorry, let me finish my thought. I'm going to circle back to the orientation, you know, to give you a really good idea of what the charter is, how the ambassadors fit in, what the expectation of our ambassadors are, and what ambassadors can expect from us. But first, because of our time constriction, and because this is the way we do things in feminine leadership, we address what needs to happen spontaneously. I had a really great meeting with UNICEF USA yesterday. I met them at the Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations when I was there in March. And it looks like they're going to be partnering with us at the Charter for Compassion. They love what we have to offer. UNICEF is the United Nations International Children Emergency Fund. They have 3 targets, and the first target is fundraising, which I love. It's unapologetic. It says we are here because the work we do is critical, but we can't do that work without resources. So we know I've already learned so much from them, and I think that's a model that we all can learn from. But regardless of that, the workshop that really intrigued me that I was at, that they led, was on ending child marriage. I realized it was one of my first experiences with UNICEF in this capacity, where the robust and thoughtful and amazing detail of study and research that they have on all of the issues that they address is really profound. And that's not what Charter for Compassion does, but it's what we need to do what we do really well. And they see what we have to offer is this robust network. We reach millions of people through our Cities campaign, which again, I'll circle back and share with you. But I just wanted to let you know, Donna, that it was a really positive conversation. We are doing a little bit of think tanking, which we will discuss further on our call on Monday, because that's when that committee meets, about some strategy that we can put into place. We're right now in a getting to know each other, place, developing that partnership, but swiftly we want to go into action together. So we've got the network, they've got the resources, the credibility, everybody knows UNICEF, the model, the structure, to really get some stuff done. And we're not here to recreate the wheel. Let's make that really clear. We're not here to create new programs unless we see programs that might be disparate, but we can be the secret sauce to pull them together with what we have to offer, and then develop, a project or something that would support them. An example of that would be our webinar series that we can offer them that they really like. We can raise money, we can get the word out to a brand new audience, we can put the Charter for Compassion in front of their audience, which will be a brand new audience for us, and we'll get this word spread more rapidly. So there's just an example of how partnership really works well. It has to be mutually beneficial. It has to be ultimately beneficial to our common goal. And those 3 things, it has to help us, it has to help them, and it has to help who we care about most. And once we have that relationship, we know it's a match made in heaven. So Donna, I thought you'd like to know that. and just get you that information.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's actually really great news because I was a little disappointed this morning. I was sitting in the airport trying to catch up, mountains of communication, and your text as well. As far as the last point, I was just had to go and unmute myself because I realized I didn't have myself muted. I'm sure there's all kinds of background noise here.
Yeah,
But let me see. I wanted to. Oh, sorry. Actually, I had my the cord to my speaker around backside of me too. So is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the link of the IJM link that you sent me, it was contacts and let's see, what's the name of this organization? Anyways, whatever the name of it is.
Yes, the international.
IJ.
Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah. I looked them up.
International Justice. That's what it is. It's the International Justice Mission, which I was super excited about. And I'm reading through all of this stuff, and plastered everywhere is the requirement that you have a very strong Christian faith. Yeah. And that's great. I don't have a problem with that, although I'm not a Christian. And so it kind of leaves me out of the loop in working with them. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some way to kind of do an interfaith type of thing with them. But I love the work that they're doing. That was just like, I just saw a closed door there for me because that's not my faith.
Well,
so,
I'm sorry to have I did not see that stuff. There was none of that happened actually. None of that manifested at the community event that we did together here locally.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's.
Okay.
I'll dive deeper into that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I will too. And like I said, it doesn't turn me off as a Christian organization. I don't really care what people practice as their faith. But if you're requiring that that's what I do in order to help you, we're not going to be the right people to partner then, because it's just not my faith. And so no harm, no foul. But I'll do the same, when I get a moment. I'll be in Los Angeles for quite a while before somebody can come pick me up at the airport. So I'll look a little bit deeper into it as well.
Well, yeah, and we're the same. We're not going to. We're all about inclusivity. There's,
right.
I really apologize, Namrata. I completely skipped right over you in your introduction. I think I really want everybody to know you. And then
yeah, because she's fantastic.
Yes, exactly. So, Ronnie, introduce yourself, and then we'll go into our orientation.
Sure. So just want to say hi to everyone. I'm so glad to be here and to know all of you. I've been engaging with Sandy and the awesome women part of this team for a few months. And we've been working with women here in India across different cities. We've now become more than 15 women here in Mumbai, about 5-6 in Delhi, and another 15 working separately on another project. It's really growing, and I'm trying to find a way to structure it all so that we have some efficiencies. But like I was sharing with Lillian on my call with her yesterday, it's just so energizing to be part of this circle, and I look forward to meeting with all of you, and especially excited to meet you, Sana. We recently spoke with Pakistan on our Golden Rule Day, and connected with Arun Vaklu, who's leading the Purna Pune project. And I've been watching the awesome work that the women in Pakistan have been doing. So glad to have you on board as well.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
Yeah, that was amazing. The Charter for Compassion partnered with United Religions Initiative, another major network in the world of interfaith collaboration. We're not an interfaith organization, but they are an amazing organization of interfaith grassroots organizations. And the Golden Rule Project, and the three of us promoted the Golden Rule on Golden Rule Day, April 5th, with a 24-hour, literally spiraled the world, went from one country to the next with different ways of expressing the Golden Rule. And India and Pakistan brought young people together to dialogue. And what came from those two dialogues, because you can imagine the history between the two, that these youth. the youth went off and have developed a stronger relationship, and we don't really know exactly where it's going to end up. Oh, let me, so Brenda's trying to get on the call. So anyway, that was an example of a way that the charter collaborates and cooperates. Namrata, also being the regional director for India, hosts webinar calls or meeting calls like this, and because her meetings are going to be at a different time, so I see people logging on at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, which I love. It's like, yes, she's at it. So there's an alternative to being in that part of the world and having a time zone that might help you. So maybe there's something you two can do together there. And yeah. Okay, so I'm really, really happy to share with you more about the Charter for Compassion International. Some of which I'm going to share with you may already know, so forgive me if I repeat anything you know, but I'm going to just try to give you a general overview of the Charter and who and what we are, so you get the whole healthy snapshot. And as I find the older I get of myself of a certain age, learning how to here, I'm getting Brenda multitasking doesn't come as easy as it used to for me. So, okay, I just wanted to get Brenda because I really want Brenda, you all to know her, and we want her to get on the call. Somehow she didn't get the call information. Okay, so she should be coming in. All right, so anyway, the Charter for Compassion, if you haven't noticed, is a global thriving network and we're in 53 countries. The Charter was founded on the notion that compassion is our clear, dynamic, and luminous force for a polarized world. And this is, it was all started when Karen Armstrong received the first TED Prize for her compelling argument that would be the case, that we need to take a closer look at who we are as human beings and remove ourselves from the center of the universe and put another in its place, and really understand that compassion is a difficult, painstaking expression. It's not warm and fuzzy. It is, and it runs through all of our faith traditions and spiritual wisdom, that that when compassion is applied to our daily actions, our actions, of course, manifest different results in how we treat one another and the decisions and the policy that we make. Karen, in receiving the $100,000 TED Prize, she took that money and she created a Council of Consciousness that included world leaders. They sat together, and after surveying the world on what the world thought should be in a document that expressed this entirely, created the Charter for Compassion, and these 4 impeccable paragraphs. Which has anybody not read the Charter? Lillian, perhaps you've had a chance to see the Charter? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I've been a good student.
Yeah, oh, good. Okay. So the Charter for Compassion then inspired the first City of Compassion, where some thoughtful people in Seattle, after Karen Armstrong and the Dalai Lama and some other notable speakers and thought leaders left their stadium after their Seeds of Compassion conference to promote and honor this document, their city was bubbling over with energy. And what they did is they realized that the city is the most measurable unit of change, and that why didn't they apply this experiment to their city by bringing all the stakeholders, the community together, which they were already together because they all came together to put this event together, and bring in the local government, first responders, educators, and those working on indigenous rights, those working on white supremacy, those working on homelessness, and all of the issues that plague their community, and sit down and say, first of all, agree that the Charter for Compassion is going to be their bonding agent, that they're going to identify their unifying problems and their unifying solutions, And they are going to then write a plan of action and a resolution signed by the mayor and the city council. So now we have a partnership between those on the ground and those making the law, and develop that relationship to work together. A 10-year plan is what they actually did. Maybe it was a 5-year plan. So that idea got noticed and heard, and now we have 405 cities or regions of compassion all around the world. And and so one of the, let me just pull this up right here because this will, I'm going to share my screen with you. The from that, so I'm sorry, I got distracted by somebody, another person trying to get on the call. I don't know. You all got your call-in information, right?
Yes.
Brenda? Cool. Okay, so the Cities of Compassion started really getting press. It started really taking hold. We started seeing measurable impact. Louisville decided to add compassionate curriculum to their education Department of Education, and they're doing a study right now where half of the schools are studying compassion and are having compassionate curriculum, and the other half don't. And then they're going to take a look at the impact on truancy and performance and grades and all of that, and behavioral studies and what have you. So there are our first research into the impact of compassion. Then the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research at Stanford emerged with a $1 million gift from His Holiness the Dalai Lama to research the science of compassion, and so it started happening at this level, where it was really taking hold at major institutions. The University of Kansas wrote a toolkit for us. And along the way, partners started showing up. And those partners were, again, universities and businesses and corporations and small groups of organizations and individuals. I'm the founder of a women's interfaith organization. We're a partner. So there's no partner that's too small or too large to be a partner of the charter. You sign the charter, you apply apply the Charter for Compassion into all of your decision and policy making and the work that you do. The work that's being done right now, like Donna shared the work that she does with her human wealth business, going into corporations and meeting with human resources and employees, and really, how do we choose to run our organization and thread the city and thread the Charter for Compassion for everything we do. So what we're really doing is saturating our planet with this concept of compassion. And those partners started just showing up in such droves that they needed to be organized into sectors. So there's, as you've seen, there's arts and culture and business and restorative justice and social justice and the environment, religion and spirituality. Back in June of 2016, I was on a volunteer staff call, and we thought we were preparing for a woman president here in the United States. And it just sort of dawned on me, where are the women here? Women are everywhere, but what would it look like if I went through all of our database and pulled out all of the organizations working to improve conditions and advance solutions for women and girls? And so I did, and I thought, this is really important. Yes, women and girls are part of every single sector, and they need to remain there. But what would it look like if we copied them over to our own sector and then developed a sector to support particularly these organizations? I was given carte blanche, and I realized immediately that this sector could not be, it was going to look different. Let's just put it that way. It would require its own midwives. It would require its own set of leadership. We took 3 months and did it through visioning, wrote our vision and our mission statement. And also what emerged was our logo, which I believe you have all seen our logo. By the way, our logo, right, what you're looking at now, has wearing blue jeans. That logo is it was developed by Elaine for us for Denim Day. I need to change that. Denim Day is behind us now. But at any rate, so our logo was designed also through a visioning process. And so so the reason I share that with you is because the thoughtfulness that went into developing this to make sure that we were sensitive to um, culture, nationality, on a global scale, that this wasn't coming from one white woman of privilege in the West. And so I should have mentioned that the first thing I did was convene a global council of women from all over the world. Zareen was one of them, Sana, that helped us develop this, and they were our advisory council for that. Then, just because of my personal experience, it became very clear that what was really missing here were the voices of women and men everywhere. That where else could women or men show up in with the brilliance and the genius and the wisdom that they have and the work that they're doing in the world? And I'm pointing to all of you now here on the call, and have a place for you to advance your work through the lens of compassion, for you to meet other people doing this work in these small groups that we meet every Friday. For me, I live for these meetings. I love to commune with you all in this call it a sacred circle, even though we're in squares and Brady Bunch style. And this is and so we developed the ambassador program. And so our ambassadors are, as you've read, the real leaders of this sector. You're informing us what's happening on the ground. You've got the pulse of the community running through your vein. You know best beyond anybody what's really happening. We don't want an institution telling us what needs to be done in the world. We want the voice of individual women. We want you, and you also serve us in promoting the work that we're doing out in the world through your work. So that's the secret sauce right there. We're not hierarchical. We're not asking you to, yes, the Charter for Compassion, we do have that agenda. We do want that. We do want as many signatories on the Charter, because that's foundational to shifting the narrative of the community. And that's ultimately our goal here, is to create a generation where it's unimaginable to not let somebody go in front of you on the freeway, where it's unimaginable to hang up on a telemarketer. Really, I'm just reducing it to the most ridiculous, where it's unimaginable to make a decision over passing a law that has so much self-interest in it, that it's unimaginable because it's not our culture, it's not in our peripheral. And we know that this is because we can look at the research and the history that was unfolded in the last couple hundred years in early Mesopotamia, that civil societies existed that operated like this. For up to possibly, hi Brenda, for possibly 10,000 years. Early Mesopotamia, pre 3,000 to 10,000 BC. I beg your pardon. Sorry, 7 to 10,000 BC to 3,000 BC was unearthed an entire civilization in Europe, where there was no signs of warfare, where it was clearly an egalitarian society. And so just knowing that is comfort, knowing that we can actually return to that. Ultimately, greed is eliminated. And when you eliminate greed, you eliminate the need for competition, and you develop the need for collaboration and cooperation. And I just want to add, Darwin never said survival of the fittest. He said survival of the most compassionate and adaptable. And even if he did say fittest, which it's recorded once he did use that expression, someone else took his work and used that a lot. But let's change what it means to be fit. Yeah. And so that's what we're here to do. We're here to shift the culture. And what's so brilliant about the Charter and its design is that it's organic. Everything that has grown, but look at our sector. Everything that has grown because it's wanted to appear. And the one thing that we have all done here in leadership is we've let it happen. When our president of the United States was elected, there was such an outcry of direction Where should we go? What can we do? The Charter for Compassion received 2,500 emails within the first 3 or 4 days of this happening. And by then, in those, in that short period of time from June, which is when we started this, to November, we really had enough meat on the bones to respond. And we had an ambassador program in place, and we were meeting on our calls. Brenda, were you in those early calls right after? I know Renee Marie. Oh, you're muted.
No, I came in at the beginning of 2017.
You will meet Brenda in a second. I can't wait. Renee Marie, and you'll meet more ambassadors as you frequent these calls that were part of, those early days. But at any rate, I just sound like I'm talking decades ago. It was, just a year or so ago. But our ambassador calls were just a place of emptying, a place of expressing moral outrage, a place of fear and this sense of disempowerment that women and men, well, mostly, it was just women really that were showing up here. Just, and we finally we said, okay, this has been a safe place, but now what are we going to do? This is what we exist for. We are here to midwife what needs to happen so we can mitigate as much compassion and smooth the waters and bring sensibility and reaction, shifting response from reaction to response. And from that ambassador call, the ambassadors developed the Reaction to Response webinar series. And this was a 12-month series that was developed to provide voice to people to on a number of different topics, to look at what does it mean through the lens of science? What does it mean through the lens of domination over partnership? What does it mean through all of these different ways of approaching the needs of our world and ways of addressing the problems of our planet, through moving into a more reactionary place, a responsive place, which is our first call to action, is to stop and breathe, not to react and be a part of the problem, and remember compassion in that. And so our ambassadors also, then what's morphed from the Reaction to Response series is our Vision 2020 series. And you know what I'm going to do right now is I meant to do this earlier. Let me bring this up for you, and I'm going to show you on your screen. You are all calling in now, video now, so I can show you. And by the way, is everybody looking at the screen where you can all see everybody's face?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a number of ways, there's a couple of different ways of viewing. I just want to make sure you can all see each other. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Hold on a moment. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I am in the wrong platform, so let me just move that over here. Okay. Any rate, so the Reaction to Response, it was a 12-month series. It was an extraordinary a series that was led by one of our ambassadors, Lisa Berkeley, and I encourage you to please go and watch a couple of the programs or peruse what we're doing. I don't know why I'm having a problem here bringing that up. Here we go. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is the front page of the Charter for Compassion's website. And I'm starting here so you can easily find where I'm going. So here's where our partners are listed and organized. We're going to the Women and Girls page, and you've all been here, and you've seen all of this. The Reaction to Response series you'll find here in the right spine, and just take a look at our conversations. Here's most of our speakers here, and you can see there were 2 calls a month, and what a wonderful job Lisa did in organizing this. I mean, we had such an amazing cast of brilliant, thought leaders and individuals like yourself as well. James Doty right here with the multicolored glasses, he's the director of the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research, talking about science and research on compassion. And you can just take a look. And then there's also Compassionate Governance with Mayor Fisher, talking about the Cities of Compassion initiative, which I'm going to circle back to as well. Also here, let's navigate back, is our series that we're right now in the midst of. Oops, I put the wrong place. And that is our back to Women and Girls, is our V2020 series. And our V2020 series is led by Joan Marie, who unfortunately isn't with us today. I was hoping she would be here. Have you seen her? I haven't talked to her in a while. Have you, Brenda? Have you seen her out in your community?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, good. Brenda is the co-director, regional co-director of Women and Girls in the Northern California area. Say hi, Brenda. Let's just take a pause.
Hi there. Hello. Yes, yeah, we've got a lot going on. So Joan's right now, I don't know where she is today, actually. I haven't talked to her in a couple days.
That's okay. She's doing such amazing work. And we're going to come back. I really want everybody to meet you. So this is our V2020 initiative. And, Joan brought to us on one of our calls, she reminded us that the year 2020 signifies, the 150th anniversary of the suffragist movement, the 100th anniversary of the Mother's Day Proclamation. Of course, it's an election year. It represents having 2020 vision. And so she came up with this entire series. And collectively, our ambassadors on a call had a lot of fun. And we try to do that. We try to keep it light because that's where creativity lives. Yet we're doing serious work. So Lillian, to your point, yes, this is maybe too good to be true. Because yes, it does seem like we're hitting all the marks, but it's serious work. Compassion is difficult work. It's we will need to be in your face. Yes, Brenda, you're muted.
I wanted to point out that last week's 2020 call, if you weren't on it, I invite you to look at it because it was the interview with Marilyn Turkovich and Sandy. So again, giving you some foundation and background about Charter for Compassion.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Reverend Joan Brown Campbell.
I'm sorry, of course.
Yeah, no, that's okay. She's
yes.
And she talks about her experience. She was the first minister to have brought Dr. King to a white church, which is an astounding story. She's an incredibly human being. You just want to Google her. At any rate, she's the chair of the board of directors for the charter. So when we started thinking about, this is an example of what comes out of our ambassador calls, when we started talking about what Vision 2020 could be and how could we promote that and support that through the charter and through the resources that we have here, this series developed. And then we realized there's so much out there about Vision 2020, but she wanted to call it V2020, and then it made us realize, wow, there are a lot of V words that this represents. And so as you can all see here on the screen, so we had some fun with that. We had some fun with our logo. And that's an example of, when we're open to what wants to happen. I was actually showing our ambassadors the logo options that our graphic artists sent to us. And there were 3 options. One of the goddess standing upright, holding the Charter for Compassion logo over our head, the infinity symbol. One was her dancing in one direction, and this one. And both Brenda and Joan just kind of went crazy over her. And Joan's like, "Can I use that for our series?" And so here she is, the goddess manifesting in different ways. And so you can read more about what the series intention is. I love how Joan puts it. she wants to make the profane profound again. She reminds us of our language and how the words that have been have transmuted over the years. And the word that their original origin of whore wasn't prostitute; it was a strong, powerful woman. And just she really dives deep into that. And so you can see here's the here are our past 2 calls, and our next call is on May 30th. Back to the ambassador program. And so anyway, you can see the recordings here, and there are the 2 calls right there on that page. You can just click on the video and watch it here. So let me just return here to our overview. Along the way, speaking of our, with the intention of our ambassadors, we realized that what we really need are anchors in borrowing the term from Braveheart Women that Brenda's involved with. We really wanted to anchor the Charter for Compassion in different cities and regions in the world where we have cities of compassion. So the intention was to identify individuals who wanted to serve in the capacity that I serve in for the international network, to serve at the city level or the regional level or whatever wanted to happen. Namrata stepped forward and said, I'll take India. Before that, Brenda and Joan said, can we co-chair just our smaller region up in Northern California? Perhaps maybe move into all of California, who knows, maybe the United States. That makes sense, and it serves everybody, absolutely. And that's that's how that happened. We have a director, a regional director in Africa, and she's a little bit more slower going. And so really it's intensifying what our ambassadors are doing as the spokespeople for the Charter, as the think tank for the Charter, as the, living the values, and also in leadership here. So we want to provide opportunities for leadership in a way that works for you. And our conditions are that you can see the conditions that are on the ambassadors. We like our regional directors to start off being ambassadors because you're already acclimated and you've already committed to everything that is required to be in leadership with us. You're already living the leadership, you're just a little bit more committed. My vision is to see a director of women and girls in every city of compassion, if not every city, of course. So anchoring again the conversation of women and girls in the cities that they're at. So I've had questions like, what does it mean to be an ambassador for the Charter for Compassion Women and Girls sector? And really, just looking at the bullet points here, it's pretty spelled out for us all. Again, there we go. You want to anchor, you want to participate in charter-wide programs too. So for example, we've, our programming that we're doing with our task force, and I didn't talk about our 2 task force as well, helping us promote that. Sometimes it's just as simple as promoting out on social media the work that we're doing. That's a tremendous help. That is spreading the word. If you have local events, when you stand up and introduce yourself as the founder of Human Wealth and ambassador to the Charter for Compassion, that changes the conversation. It adds the dynamic. You're bringing more compassion to your community just in that simple introduction. It makes people curious, and then you can speak about it. And in a moment, I'm going to show you our ambassador toolkit, where you can actually get those sound bites, where you can find logos, and other resources the fact sheet, other resources that'll help us help you. By bringing like Betsy is so great at, and Donna and Brenda, and actually Elaine too has been tremendous too, and just putting on our radar what's happening out in the community. That helps inform what we're doing. We want to make sure we don't leave anybody out of the party, basically. We want to make sure everybody's engaged. you can host a salon. You can bring people into your community. Namrata has done that. And I'd like Namrata to talk about the work that she's doing in India too, because she's a wonderful example of that. Hosting a salon also means fundraising, but you don't have to, there need not be a fundraising arm to that. But ultimately, we want to support the work of the charter. We want to support you and your community. So if you raise funds and they go through the charter, a lion's share of that will be kicked back to you to use in programming that serves you. Excuse me. And the work that you're doing through the lens of compassion. And so again, just peruse this list here. We have guidelines. We have a code of ethic, which I could tell you all are probably upholding anyway, with or without us. Code of respect. And the application reminds you of these things because you commit to them as you go through the application process. Some of these things need to be updated. Like, for example, our fact sheet is outdated. I just noticed that today. So sometimes it surprises me how quickly things change. This has changed just really by the number. We're no longer 365 regions. This was last year. So, 40 new regions of compassion in a 12-month span. That's pretty significant. That's entire cities and regions signing on, getting the mayor and the city council to say yes, getting people activated, coming together in circle in a committed, dedicated way, addressing the needs of the community through the lens of compassion, promoting the Charter for Compassion. This organization, we're going to come back and laugh at these big numbers. We're going to go, wow, 406, we thought that was such a big number. We're up to 2,000 regions and cities of compassion in the world. I mean, at the rate we're growing, there were 12 new partners that joined us last week. I mean, wow. And they're all over the board. We didn't have any, we had a couple of new partners join us from Women and Girls. And at any rate, so then what also is important to know about us is how important it is. I'm going to go ahead and close this. What's also really important to us is that we partner really well with one another. And that we, if you're working in an organization, sorry, hold on a moment. Oh, funny, it doesn't want me to, there we go, stop share. Okay, here we are, we're back. I'm just gonna take a breather right now, and before Brenda can share with us who she is, and we hear from Namrata as a model of both of you actually sharing with us what it looks like to be a regional director in your community, an ambassador in your community. Does anybody have any questions? Wait, am I that thorough, or are you just shy?
We're just learning.
Yeah, there's a lot to absorb, and I know there's a lot to absorb. So, once again, 405 cities of compassion in 53 countries, 2,000 partners organized in 12 sectors. And we work autonomously and in collective impact. We're a really unique animal. We don't fit into anyone's description of what a network looks like. We're doing something really different and unique here. And sometimes people get tripped up on that. They go, well, what, are you centralized or are you decentralized? Yes. Mm-hmm. The answer is yes. We have this central network, but we're not an umbrella organization. We play host. We're not a network so much in a hierarchical. We're a constellation, and some of our planetary systems are bigger than the others. Some are just little stars. Some are entire galaxies amongst themselves. But we're all connected, and we're connected by one simple document, the Charter. And I know as I'm talking, it sounds like this is becoming a religion, and it sort of has that tendency to look like that. We have one common belief system, we have one place to commune, we have one message to spread. But and other than that, it's really not a religion, because it's open to everyone's interpretation and approach and design. And like I said, universities in Mexico and in the United States and Europe, all operating sort of in the same pattern and rhythm, but doing very different things. But we can all meet at Charter, just like you can all meet on these calls. So Brenda, introduce yourself. And then also after you introduce yourself, and have you had a chance to meet Elaine? Brenda?
I think, Elaine, we did meet one on a call, and then maybe did you connect us through email?
Yeah, because you're both, it was that Sacred Geometry.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so. And so I'm really happy to see you on the call, Elaine. And Joan and I were talking the other day that I want to talk with you a little bit. So let's connect.
Yeah, relationships really foster here. I love it. So okay, now let's hear from you. Sorry.
And I'd love to hear from Namrata. Maybe I'll just quickly say a little bit, but she's really inspired me because of the way that Braveheart Women is celebrating 10 years this year. We're doing a conference down in Tucson, Arizona. You're all invited to come. It's going to be really lovely. What we're doing is we have shut down last year a huge website and a huge organization that was about 500,000 women. And the reason we did is it started manifesting as the same old paradigm that we get caught in. And yet Dr. Ellie Drake, who received the vision for it, that wasn't what she got in her vision. She got a vision that's kind of similar to what Charter for Compassion is doing. Yet it was focused on women. And when I first came into the organization, I worked a lot with men, and I didn't quite understand the reason for focusing on women. As I moved into the work, because I do healing and teach various ways for people to heal themselves, I saw the women who need to heal, and they need to heal in sacred space with other women. That it's not yet safe for them to do what they need to do and to be vulnerable in mixed company. So anyway, not to get sidelines into that. So what we did is we then cycled down, in a very small group of about 40 women made a decision to shift the paradigm. And so what we're doing is learning how to do it different, more from a collaborative, compassionate, matriarchal space. And it's uncharted territory in this day and age. So with that said, because of that, my hub that I really got brought into with Braveheart kind of dissolved. And so I was looking for, and I realized over the last few years that really it's been about peace within myself, which then creates peace where I am. And then that can then, move out exponentially. It doesn't matter where it goes, it just goes. And we set it free through our very cells of our body. And so then Namrata, I started, got to know her a little bit through the Charter for Compassion here, which I really appreciate. Because when I first was invited by Joan, I had no idea why I was sitting on these calls. Within a month, my mom passed away, and my life had changed. I got involved in California Vision 2020 here in Sacramento. There was a huge launch of changes in my life last year. And I didn't really know why I was showing up, other than, what am I going to contribute? I don't know where my place is, but I'm being called to show up. So I just kept showing up. And Namrata then started coming in and showed me what she's doing in India. And I just spent a month in India, which was fabulous. And anyway, I really loved the hub of the Charter for Compassion. It's like, for me, showed me really what I wanted to do. It is the heart of compassion where I come from, as well as that peace. And so the model that she's doing is bringing women together to meet at least once a month, and she can talk about this. So I got a vision about 2 weeks ago where I really want to bring women together and work on not only what we're compassionate and excited about in the world, yet have that hub start from within ourselves. So I'm inviting 3 other women, one of which is Joan, to begin a new moon gathering, which will be Charter for Compassion women coming together. And we'll be working from the element of our bodies. And then from that, so we'll have a little bit of that to treat ourselves compassionately and lovingly. And then from that, then express from the wisdom of our own voices what it is that is our passion. So coming into the passion, tuning into the inner compass that is the center of each of our own selves. And this was you know, Namrata, it's like I found my hub for that I've been seeking for a really long time. Because what I do seek is something that isn't a religion, because I teach yoga. That gets misinterpreted. Yoga is not a religion, but people think it is. And, you know, Braveheart, people got misconceived about that. And I feel like the charter, Joan always quotes, you know, that people who are, and I'm going to not do it as well, but concerned about peace, interested in peace, need to gather, organize and gather as much as those who support war. And I think that was Martin Luther King. Anyway, that's what I feel Charter is doing, and many organizations are doing. And so that's what I see the strength within myself, and why I'm compelled to be here.
Thank you. You're such an amazing model of of compassion to me personally, and I love watching the relationships weave together here, the support happening. I'll give you an example of what they've done in up in the Northern California area. They heard about something our organization did, my women's interfaith organization, Sarah did, with the red tent. We brought the red tent to the Women's March in downtown Los Angeles. Amongst 1 million people, right in the middle of 1 million people marching, we put a red tent. Now, is that disrupting the flow or what? And it was standing room only for women to get into the red tent. Some women never left. It was just this really incredible experience. They heard me talk about it. They're like, we want to do a red tent. So our women's group helped them fund, well, they raised the money, but there was a fiscal sponsorship through the Charter for Compassion to get them their red tent. And so it was just, they heard it, they just heard about what was working somewhere else. They said, we want to do it in our community. How can we raise the money? This is what we don't have. This is what you have. How can we make that possible? And it's all hands on deck. That's what we're doing here. We're all hands on deck. Namrata, I would love to hear from you and share, tell everybody what amazing work you're doing in India, particularly what you've just done with the youth.
Sure. So Brenda has described it beautifully well. It's really, you know, that way that we've been growing organically, just as you described, Sandy. I love the way in which members are coming together, introducing one another. You know, I know this woman, she'd like to join, she'd like to be a part of it. And on the other hand, I'm just being connected with opportunities one after the other, and they're just all presenting themselves to me. So what I'm trying to do is just find an organic match, and we just, you know, share. We have a WhatsApp group, we have a Facebook group, and we keep sharing, this is what's coming up, who'd like to be part of this, and 2-3 hands go up, and you know, we start working on it, and before we know it, you know, something has materialized in the form of, you know, some pictures like I shared today. So we've been working with various small setups. There's a shelter for homeless women. We did an event on Women's Day. We actually invited some of the residents of the shelter for homeless women to do a small dance performance for us. And we met women who were talking about going vegan. So we are approaching compassion at all levels, for yourself, for others, and for the planet. And because I'm a big fan of saving the environment, I'm trying to weave in that, you know, as and when I can. we've today, done something with the Angel Express Foundation, which again is a global organization, and they'd like us to do a lot more with them. So the work is just growing. The members are growing. We now have presence in 4 different cities in India. And I'm now trying to get a website together so we can start sharing more openly all the things we are doing and get more people visibility to sign up and be part of our efforts. It just seems like I think the Charter for Compassion are a vortex. That's the only word that comes to mind to describe how it's been so central, and we are, in your words, Brenda, playing the role of a hub, and everything else is just coming together, and we are really the focal point in finding ways to bring compassion to other people who are also serving the same purpose. So yeah, happy to share with anyone at a later date and exchange notes. And I think, Brenda, I would like to connect with you to discuss that initial piece that you're planning to do with helping women find their calling. So we are doing that slightly differently, but I'd love to learn from what you're planning to do as well. So yeah, it's totally awesome, and hoping to meet many of you at the Parliament of Religions in Toronto in November.
Yes, let's talk about that too. Would you share about this? Here we go.
Yeah, so we did this today. This is the Angel Express Foundation. That's me standing below the tree on the left.
Ah.
Yeah. So what we did, I took my laptop. This was done in an open garden. It's quite warm nowadays in Mumbai. I shared with them a small film about plastics, and the children are so smart. They were answering all the right things, and at the end of it, I got them to write a pledge as to what they would do when they go back home. How are they going to change the way they are leading their lives after watching these videos and hearing the story about what happens to a plastic bottle after we throw it away. And some of the pledges were so awesome. In fact, the best one is what I have tweeted, Sandy. I've actually tweeted a video of the one of the pledges. It's in Hindi. That's what they were more comfortable in. Yeah. I have tagged quite a few people, including the Charter. So hopefully you can take a look at it, and it should be nice.
I didn't have time to find it. I took just.
I'll send you.
Actually, can you send it, or?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. If you tweeted it, I missed it.
No worries.
Yeah, if you can send it. Do you have it up on your screen right now?
I can, actually pull it up from my.
You want to take a minute and show it to us? We have a couple minutes, some time.
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop sharing my screen, and then you can share yours. So Namrata touched on a couple of really important things. The Charter for Compassion is a sea of resources, right? If I didn't make, I think I may have alluded to the fact that we've got a lot of partners doing a lot of amazing things. You don't need to look too far to find a partner to work with to support your work or whatever it is you want to accomplish. Look at if your work involves environmental issues. We've got partners who are just so extraordinary in the environmental sector. Look through there. And then also you can ask me, who is doing really great work, and because I have a lot of personal relationships too that I can introduce you to. Are you able to share your screen, or would you like to?
Yeah, I would like to, but for some reason it's not working. But I'll find a way of sending it to everyone.
Okay, or you can just send me the link and I'll put it out in the.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. We also have the the Zoom platform, which we're using really well with our webinar series. We can also do fee-based webinars. So if you would like to present to me an opportunity to put together a one-time or a short series webinar series in a fee-based, there's a split with the Charter, but we can do that. So there's that mechanism in place. Use what we've got. Use it up. We want all of our tools in our toolkit to be used up. Namrata also mentioned the Parliament of the World's Religions. The Parliament is coming to Toronto. About 12,000 people will be there from about 80 different countries. 500 workshops, plenaries, exhibits. art, food. It's an assault on the senses. There's so much happening there. It's such an extraordinary transformational experience. The Charter is a major partner there. We actually are given 16 workshops to allocate. We're the only outside organization that was able to do that. We'll have a major, Karen Armstrong is the keynote speaker. The Dalai Lama, up into the last parliament, had not missed a parliament in modern day parliaments. I think there's like since 1989. Let me go ahead and stop right there. So I'll send you information about the parliament. We'll be doing an awful lot there with women and girls, so we'd like you to be there. The workshop committee the selection committee is still in process, and in the next month or so, if you presented a workshop, you'll be notified about that. And if you haven't, let us know, because we may still, with the Charter's leeway, may be able to finagle something or make something happen. Can I go ahead and try this? Oh, here's Namrata. You've sent us let's take a second and watch this. Is this the video? Okay, let me share my screen. And then, here we go.
Lillian is certified on, I think, what, abuse at the campus? She's trained on that. And I was just wondering, in the girls section in the parliament, maybe if there is some kind of a workshop you might want to propose, Lillian.
Well, the proposal application's done. Yeah,
done.
Unfortunately, it's too late to make any proposals. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, yeah. But you want to come, because there's going to be amazing thought leaders, amazing individuals doing this work. Don't come to be heard by 90 people. Go to listen to these extraordinary people. Yes, of course, people want to hear what you have to say, but don't let that, if you didn't get to do a workshop, or if your workshop wasn't accepted, just come, because the relationships you'll make you don't know who you're going to be sitting next to in a workshop, or what table you're going to be at dinner, or the relationships and the connections and the access. Vedanta Shiva, she might be sitting next to, Vedanta Shiva in your workshop, that she's there to listen to the same speaker you are. I mean, it's all of humanity walking together in every color and texture and regalia. It's it's unbelievable. I kind of sound like I'm proselytizing, and I don't get a commission. I don't know why I can't bring this up. Darn it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me close here. See, what are you looking at right now? My computer doesn't want to cooperate. Are you looking? What are you seeing? Are you seeing A Cup of Soul?
Yes.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm so glad this is recorded, because this is what I want everyone to think about, how well we do things here. I'm going to stop sharing. My computer doesn't want me to doesn't want to cooperate right now. I'm supposed to be showing you my desktop, and you're supposed to be able to see everything you're doing. So let's go ahead and stop this. I thought maybe we can try one more time. Okay, it's just not going to do it. Funky. Okay, well, all right, guys, sorry about that. Circling back to our task force. So we have two task force in particular right now that are a concentrated effort developed by and for ambassadors that are focused on next generation. We know that the Charter for Compassion doesn't have a presence for next gen. And boy, oh boy, do we want to hear the voices of our youth. So we imagine that this task force will spin off to its own. And right now we have two co-chairs, Marie Roker-Jones and the co-founder of the organization Social, which I'm going to send you here in the chat box. And Social is a social media campaign, social spelt with a X. And Social is an online platform that engages action and in a number of different ways. And then there's a point value system. It's changing the narrative on what we value. So at some point they expect that your social points will translate into your credit score. So when you go to buy a home, you can not only see how well you pay your bills, but what kind of human being you are and how you walk in the world. And so that's Social's vision, but there's also a trend towards youth in their work because of the nature of their platform. And so Ken is the co-chair of the Next Gen Task Force, and they're in development right now. It's too early. We won't find anything on our website. And then also the second task force is a task force dedicated to addressing violence against women and children. And this is, on this committee is Donna and Namrata, and I'm sorry, Brenda, I don't think you're on that task force. And so, and a number of other people who meet on Mondays to address this. We're going to be talking more about our relationship with UNICEF. We have a Girls' Voices project where we're doing we're videotaping children, asking them a series of questions that our ambassadors fine-tuned. We have some really thoughtful questions. So we're asking children 5 to 15, I think, or I don't remember the age group, but we're starting young and asking children on video, why it's important that what do they think about equality and parity of girls and boys, and what did they notice, and what are their thoughts about the importance of there being equality between. And we're wanting to put we want to create a montage video of these children, and ultimately we have permission from the Parliament to show it on a 24-hour feed at the Parliament over the course of the week. I didn't mention the Parliament's a 7-day event in Toronto this year. And for all 7 days have a monitor showing this video with engagement pieces on tables underneath the video. For example, there might be a way of engaging in UNICEF, or a way of signing up for social, or a way of, something you can pick up and walk home with and bring home to your community. So that's a project of this organization. Also, how are we partnering well with our partners towards that end? Aside from the Charter for Compassion, I'm involved with Elaine. It's where I met Elaine, is on this committee that was brought together by a philanthropist, the founder of a donor advised fund, supporting organizations doing very different things in very different, what he calls buckets. And the bucket we are swimming in, Elaine and I, is called 8.7. 8.7 refers to the Sustainable Development Goals and target number 7, which is about ending, wage disparity, but also the profiting of human beings, the profiting on human lives. And so that brings us right to human trafficking. Elaine, would you like to speak about 8.7 and how it's sort of designed, and maybe your thoughts on how that weaves into what we're doing here with our task force?
Well, I think, make sure I'm unmuted. Yes, I am. Thank you, Sandy. And, I'm so grateful because as you said, I met you through this, and through this human trafficking core group that is trying to work with this. It's people all over the country and sometimes internationally. As the founder, Robert Smith from ICV Group, has created an opportunity for private family foundations and corporations that have a tremendous amount of money, that are wanting to do global good, to have presented to them different organizations that are targeting the challenges that we have. And in my mind, all of the challenges we see across the globe stem from the violence against women. And without exception, because the moment you give permission, for lack of a better way to say it, or to make it culturally acceptable to harm half of humanity, then you have given yourself permission to harm everything that exists. So in that regard, this group is working. There is a woman who just came back from, and I can't disclose the location, but she went to a war-torn area recently to witness and to see how, and most people globally don't understand the enormity of the violence against women in this particular part of the world, and how there is a huge militaristic component that is keeping this very active. And, you know, what we need to understand across the globe is, in my mind as a healer, one of the things we have to understand is, how did this begin? And I'd like to tell you, Sandy, and to talk with Brenda. I know that she's gone off the call, but Brenda and, gosh, I'm sorry, I can't remember the other girls. Oh, Joan, who are working with V2020. There's a book that I'm reading right now. It's called Woman, Church, and State. It is written by a woman who was a suffragist. And it looks at systematically how this global degradation of women began. And I think that it is an important thing for every woman to begin to look at and to understand. It's a contextually difficult book to read because it's a little bit different language because it was written in the 1800s, early 1900s, but it's very rich in helping us look at how this patriarchy became such a dominant thing. But in my mind, it's informational so that we can understand how culturally it has affected us. Not only us as people living in the North American continent, but globally, and then us, how it has affected us in our ethnicity, in our religions, in our families, and most importantly, in our own minds. So what we need to do, I believe, is to look honestly at all of the things that are happening so that we can begin to honestly dismantle them. But to do it without, to use the term, not reaction, but response that is appropriate. So that is one of the things that I do. I don't know if I'm answering this question for you or not, Sandy. And as I've had the great privilege over the number of years, and it's never ceases to amaze me as I'm thinking about the medicine people I work with. I just got a message from someone who is a medicine chief in the Native American world that we need to understand first and foremost that this time that we're in right now of global change was prophesized hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. And in fact, my elder, who is 85 years old, his elders, who recognized his leadership abilities at the age of 5, at that time in their medicine councils, they actually prayed to die at that time so they could be born now. Understanding that this is a global shift in human consciousness, that we are literally coming out of the dark ages and that we're coming back into the golden age. And as I'm saying this, I'm covered with shivers because what I understand is that we have to take our collective blinders off. We have really an opportunity to self-examine how we see ourselves as human beings, as individuals in this group that we're speaking to as women, so that we can really lead not only with compassion, because that word compassion can be misunderstood, but to lead with true power. And power is not force. And compassion is not weakness. Compassion is a power that says, I will stand with your pain and help you to either heal or leave this planet in your pain, but still stand as a human being with you. And because we will all, in the spirit understanding in the Native American world, they say we die from spirit to be born into life, and we die from life to be born back into spirit. So it is a continuum. But the only time that we can actually affect a change is when we're our spirit in a human body and being given the opportunity in this corporal body to interact with one another and to be a visual representation of spirit that we are. So it's quite a journey of being, and again, as I said, I believe that when we understand and help men no longer fear women, because someone only abuses someone that they fear, believe it or not. They see the power that that person possesses, and they want to overpower it. And even though they may not comprehend that, that is really, fear is the basis of any wrongdoing, of any action that is taken to try to diminish the personhood or the life of another. And when we can help to re-educate people about that, then, you know, as I talk with many different people, if you don't mind me digressing for a moment, I had the opportunity the other day to work with a gentleman who, because of a spiritual crisis, and a physical crisis, had a spiritual awakening to the reality of what it means to be a male in a world that has to, or is being given an opportunity to understand what it means to be a male. And the role of a male in the protection of the keepers of wisdom, which are women. So there's a shift that's happening, and we have to be very careful in our action and reaction to really help to bring healing globally. And it will happen because of these gatherings that we have across the globe just right now where we are. So there's many great things that are happening in terms of people that, in terms of the group that Sandy alluded to, was talking about, that there are people with great deals of money that have in their heart the awareness that they have more money than they can possibly spend in their lifetime. And they want to do good. And that is a spirit being recognizing, often through nothing that they did personally, they're wealthy. And what they're seeing and what they're recognizing is we have to do something to have a legacy of goodness, not just a legacy of a name of a building with your family name on it, but a legacy of goodness. And that's what we're trying to do.
Wow, beautifully put, Elaine. Just so beautiful. Thank you for articulating that in such a stunning, graceful, elegant way. And really just hitting the mark with really, isn't it no surprise that the charter is here at this time and space?
Can I make a statement? Elaine, thanks. I want to thank you for that perspective of abuse comes from fear, that they are afraid. I'm from 3 violent relationships, domestic violent relationships, and what a whole totally different perspective that a woman can hear that and go, really? Those guys were actually afraid of me? That I scared them because of either my smarts or my wisdom or whatever it is that made them fear, because women tend to blame themselves for everything that happens. And if they can come look at their relationship in that perspective, then I'm starting to drive again. So I've got you in my lap. But if they can come with that perspective, what an empowering growth start to know that, hey, because it took me a long time to go, hey, it's not me, it's them, it's their issue. But new understand this is so I just need to, not that I want a man in my life right now, but if that happens again, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that's not afraid of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So thank you for that. Thank you so much. And it's something to really help other women understand who are in the same boat.
Well, and if I may,
and I was also, and I have another, go ahead. Well, I also have one more question and then you can go. One of the things that I've often said in some of our meetings, because sometimes it's just a couple of us all the time, but the energy from those meetings, I often wonder what the aura is of the group of us when we're together. Can you feel that? Can you see that? Because these are always positive talks. Even though we might touch on negative aspects of what's going on in the world, they're always, always positive. And the energy that comes in, the energy that comes out is always, always positive. And so I was joking one day, I said, I'd love to see the aura that's coming out of each of, you know, these little lights that are shining out and meeting up there in the sky like a bat signal, you know, from everybody's home and everybody's heart. So I'm just curious, since you're an energy healer, and I'm reading a book now about energy and the capabilities of people. It's called the Alliamenti. And it's people who, of course, they have to eat certain foods, and they do this purge in order to get that energy. But these people can fly, they can transport, they can do all these, they have healing powers, they have all this stuff. And it's fascinating to me because I know that these are capabilities because gurus do them or yogis do them, or, you know, there are people that have been able to transcend and do these things. So can you feel the energy and see that aura and, you know, share it with us?
Let me just say, we all are light. And so rather than you're asking a lot of questions all in one. But what I want to say is to kind of redirect a little bit. We also have to understand how to not disempower ourselves, so that we have to learn not to enter into relationships that are not in our highest good. And through the sensory perceptions that we have of our senses, that is one of the things as a healer I teach. But I want to comment one thing about negative, as you use the term negative. I am very cautious when I'm speaking to people. There is no such thing as negative. There is differentiations of frequencies. A low frequency means there's not enough energy to drive the system. So the body goes into a fear mode. Fear is or negativity is the reactive response to fear. So it would be wiser, I think, to recognize that if you're witnessing something that appears to be quote unquote negative, think of that as information. You're looking at something and witnessing when you know how to be grounded. And that's something that I teach as a healer. When you know how to be grounded, you learn to observe rather than judge. And when you see something that appears to be, quote unquote, again, negative behavior, what you're watching is not the absence of love, but the denial of love. So it is not possible for love to be absent, but it is very common for love to be denied. Because love is not an emotion, which we have falsely been taught. Love is a power that animates every atom in your being. It is a very powerful substance of which everything is made. And we either understand and contribute to that enhancement of life, or we diminish that enhancement of life based upon what we think, do, and say. So I have a different way that over the years have gratefully developed and have been taught myself of what is it that we are seeking. We are seeking inclusion. We are seeking the recognition that every single life has value. And if that were not the case, we would not exist in this body. But we have been taught historically, in religion being a large contributing factor, because most people don't recognize that many religions actually began as a political structure.
Yeah.
So as a political structure of gaining territory, gaining superiority, gaining the control, ownership of crops, the population of an area. We think that religion was always altruistic. Even the great master healer, Jesus himself, wasn't a Catholic. He wasn't a Christian. It didn't exist.
Right.
He was a master healer who said, "Follow my way." So it does not, there's so many things that we need to, or we don't need to. We have an opportunity to choose to unlearn or broaden our learning. And one of the things I ask people often is to ask a very important question of yourself, that is what I have said and what I am doing and how I am acting. Is this enhancing life?
Right.
And if it is not, then we need to re-examine it. And when we re-examine it honestly, then we can let down our own guard and begin to heal our own wounds. So one of the things, Sandy, that I have proposed with the online education platform for, in fact, I just had a conversation yesterday with Olivia that I need to get out, is there's a very important medicine wheel called the 4 powers of the human self that I would like to begin to teach. And there's many, many, many medicine wheels. And they're minimally 10,000 years old, and they're ways that we can learn to recognize the significance of being alive and what that means. And in the human experience, we are spirit in the physical body that learn about the world and our participation in the world through our emotions. And that is where most people get stuck. Most people don't realize that our emotions are energy in motion. They're not just a feeling, they're information. Is this good for me? Is this not good for me? Is this where I need to go? Is this not where I need to go? And most people have no idea how to use their mind. So that we can, and the mind is not the brain. The mind is that part of our being that says, is this enhancing life or is this detracting from life? And really listen to that so we can begin to understand the powerful self with a capital S that we are. And when you understand the self that you are as a powerful spirit in a body who is elected to come to this planet to make a positive impact for the good of all, then we can come into the world in a very different way as an aware self. And then you can truly get inspiration, truly begin to understand how to reflect on that information, how to trust that information, how to gain wisdom from that information, and then ultimately to present learning. Because we're here to learn. Every human being is here to learn.
Elaine, I just wanted to thank you so much. You just reminded me of you've all just experienced a coaching call. It's something that I didn't mention that we do here at our organization, at the ambassadors, and we haven't done it in a long time. But because of this relationship with our ambassadors, of the charter, this bond, that our commitment to be mutually supportive, we wanted to give our ambassadors just a little bit more than you're giving us, and that was we'd invite people that are thought leaders, are experts in their field, to come in and dedicate a call to what we just experienced with Elaine, reminding us of who we are, different skills and tools are different. Ultimately, making us more whole and supported and healthy, and so that we could do our work in the world. It was just something that we would gift our ambassadors, where they normally wouldn't have an opportunity to hear somebody like Elaine talking such truth to power. So that was one of the things that I had failed to mention, and you reminded me, because we do a lot of things here. We also are really good to one another. We really do help one another through these conversations, just feel better about the work that we're doing and improve our outlook so we can be most effective and ultimately our end goal. I learned so much, Elaine, from you just now. I learned so much from you, Betsy, on every call, and Namrata. And guess what, Joan? Is that you, Joan? Do I recognize your phone number?
It's me.
And also Brenda, I think, no, wait, Brenda and Joan are both calling in. But Joan, say hi.
Yeah, I am in my car.
Okay, great. Joan, we were talking all about yours, must have been buzzing. We were talking about B2020. You want to say hi to everybody? We have our new ambassadors on the call.
Yes, hello everybody. I've been listening for about a little over an hour, so I caught a lot. And you did an incredible job of explaining how we're learning about power in a new way, and the masculine misperception or misguided because it's separated from the feminine, that now we're redefining. We need to honor everything, and that's what about what you said. That nothing, it's not about good and bad. That creates polarity and separation again. So we're learning to re-honor everything. But the one thing I really want to stress is the next call on May 30th is about grief. And that may sound like it's a downer, but it's not. It's really a new level of reclaiming our power, because we have been in a systematic, blanket, layered grief for century after century of the oppression of the feminine. And by going through and supporting each other in our own journeys of awakening and releasing that grief and getting the wisdom from it, we will stand in a new level of power that our planet has not remembered for a long, long time, but it's happening. So I really hope that that all of you tune in on May 30th. We have two really dynamic speakers, and I do hope to be interviewing Elaine and Brenda on another call about the sacred geometry. But my whole thing of B2020 is let's wake as many women up as we can, because when we're awake, we are in our passion, we are inherently wired for bliss. And the more we clear our grief, the more we can live in the power of our bliss. So let's rock and roll this planet.
That's Janet. And I just, circling back to kind of wrapping this up with the girl, I'm going to, Joan, maybe you can mute yourself, that way you can unmute yourself. We're going to do that. But thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here, and sorry I didn't notice you earlier. Elaine, when you started talking about, we're in the shift of consciousness, the Mayan have prophesized this, obviously. It's part of the whole
right.
of the ages. And in September 2012, I was at the Agape. If anybody knows who Reverend Michael Beckwith is, I was at the Agape Church, and people were spending the night there to be part of that shift, the official shift from, where the world is ending as we know it. And I remember hearing, I don't know if it was Marianne Williamson or Barbara Marx Hubbard or one of the Neil Donald Walsh that were just right there on the stage talking to us about this. But one of them said, well, Marianne Williamson got up and she said, think of, this is a rebirth. We're in a rebirth. And if any of you have ever given birth, it's messy. It hurts like hell. That there's going to be resistance. There's going to be blood. But when that new way of being comes out through the birth canal to the other side, it's the promised land, and that's what we can expect. And I remember hearing this is where I couldn't remember who it was that said it. It was Hereditary, that there's going to be resistance. Things are going to get worse before they get better. And I remember 2012 thinking, no way, how could things get worse than this? And here we are, us in the United States are facing this hour by hour on CNN or with the falling apart of old patriarchal ways are happening right in front of our eyes, and it's painful and it's scary. And so what gets me going is remembering that this is all part of the resistance to the pain and the suffering. And what we can do at this sector is serve as midwives.
Well, if I could reframe that slightly, Sandy.
Please.
All of these things that are happening now have always been happening in humanity. They were just hidden. So part of what is happening is there is this global transparency. So we cannot have we don't have the right anymore to say, gee, I didn't know. So part of what is, again, a part of this prophecy is there will be full disclosure. So we have to understand that these things, these atrocities have happened for centuries. We just didn't know about it often, or we didn't know about it till after the fact. So it isn't that there's any more madness, is that we're finally seeing it.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that we're seeing it, we cannot pretend that we don't have some responsibility in ending it. So I often caution people to be very mindful of the words they use, because yes, we're looking at challenging things, but we have to see them. If we don't see them, they will continue.
And what a gift it is to see them. And because of what's happening in our country in particular, we're able to recognize our role in that as well.
Yes.
And, you know, the institutionalized slavery that is today, and the depth and what that has done to I coined the term communal neural pathway. The communal neural pathway is like in our mind, we think a thought over and over again, and we just easily flow down that thought. In our brain, well, same thing happens in the community. So we want to shift that. We want to disrupt that at its core, perhaps. That's what Donna, that's what Donna and I, where we agree in that. What can we do? Where can we take this at the root and go, and not necessarily yank it at the root, but heal it at the root? And this is what Joan's doing with the 2020, brilliantly. Really reminding us of the language we're using, where these words came from, and how do we rethink how we got here. So I want to thank you all. Yes, a 2-hour ambassador call. We knew it was a juicy, good call. There was one more thing I wanted to mention, and Elaine alluded to that, and that was the Charter Education Institute. That's the next layer of bringing your passion and your skills through our educational platform. And there's a couple of different ways that we can support you out in the world through the network. But we reach, a couple million people. We have 170,000 people on our newsletter alone. So we want you to, we've lost Lillian, and Betsy, put that phone on your seat right now. I'm going to end the call. Young lady. I don't know if she can hear me. Oh, okay. Just no lookies. Yeah. I don't want to distract you.
Oh, my dashboard. It's my stranger.
Yeah, you can't be looking at us. I don't want you to be distracted. So thank you so much for telling us about that book, Women, Church, and State. And I see that you put in the chat window. I'll send this information out in our little report. There's also a book that I'm rereading for the 3rd time right now by Jean Shinoda Bolen, Urgent Call for Message, Gather the Women and Save the World, which are almost like our cliff notes on Riane Eisler's work, on the Chalice and the Blade, and a little bit of the Real Wealth of Nations, really talking about the history and that anthropologists have unearthed in our history. I'm sorry, I'm starting to get tangled up with my own words here. But at any rate, so Gather the Women and Save the World is another really great book. And if you come to the Parliament, you will meet Jean Shinoda Bolen and Riane Eisler, most hopefully. I've pulled together a panel with those two, have accepted to be on our panel. And but I see that they're also in a number of other panels, so I think we're trying to combine panels. But nonetheless, they'll be there in a big way. Jean is amazing. So I just wanted to let you know that too. If you come to the Parliament, you'll meet some really extraordinary human beings, and they'll meet you.
I have a quick question. Do we have a LinkedIn page?
No, we don't have a LinkedIn page.
Because I just did a a webinar with a guy about building your business and getting money in your business. And then I got another link because they evidently have a LinkedIn University about fundraising and catching up with groups and things like that. So I wanted to ask you if we have a LinkedIn page. I will get with you on that because I'm going to do this other webinar about fundraising through your LinkedIn page because they were talking, and it's specifically for nonprofits. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to see how we do that. And maybe we can get a women and girls LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great tools and how to join these groups and everything. So
I think you're right. I think it's really good. And, you know, we had a social media ambassador who, she just never stuck, and then she left us. So really, it's just a matter of capacity to manage those. Right now, it's easy for me to manage Facebook because I'm there. So we're always looking for interns and ambassadors who will take that on. But we definitely can do it, and if you're willing to help us about it, yeah. But let's talk about that. Yeah, easy.
Well, I can help because I've been trying, because I've been doing that Facebook planner and I've been posting on our V2020 page. I don't have problems setting up a LinkedIn page and continue doing the Facebook thing.
Okay, we just gotta, everybody. Just wait in that she might know somebody who would be interested to help with social media. It'd be great to have a dedicated individual that can make sure that we're dedicated based on that. Oh, we lost the link. Okay, so wow. Hi, Joan. Thank you, Betsy. I didn't mean to just railroad right through that.
Oh no, not a problem. I know we're getting ready to get off. I don't know, is Lillian still there?
Namrata. Oh, here's Namrata. Lillian, Namrata, and Betsy.
I was curious.
I mean, not Lillian.
This is Lillian's first call. I wanted to know how she liked it.
Well, I'll send her an email and ask her to be candid because there's a lot of
okay. Oh, she's not there. Okay. All right.
Here. And so right now it's Namrata, Brenda, and Joan, and you and I. The usual suspects right there. We're the dedicated crew.
Okay. The usual.
I love it. I don't like it. Not usual. We're the committed ones. We're all committed ones. Hi, what's wrong with me? I'm saying things I didn't mean to say. Yeah, really tremendous. So thank you, Betsy. Joan, it's good to be on the call. You know what? I never got an email from you, so it never actually made it to the email inbox for your May 30th. Let me actually, while I've got you on the phone, in case I did not look, there's my, yeah, I should be able to find it. I looked through you up by way of your 2 emails that I normally get things.
Okay, are you talking to me?
No, Joan Marie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because I was having a hard time hearing. I don't know if somebody's rubbing something or something. I was in here. All right, I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah, Joan, so I didn't get anything from you from Compassion Central or Into the Orchid. Yeah, I don't have anything from you on your speakers. So if you can just resend that email regarding your May 30th speakers, I'll make a flyer and we'll get it out there.
Okay, and my problem is my computer is down like for another week.
Oh, got it. Okay, so, yeah. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to rub salt in the wound.
I will be able to send it before then. I had them put everything on an external drive, so I just have to get hold of a computer. So
you can wait. We've got plenty of time. You can wait. Okay, not a problem. Don't worry about it. My heart goes out.
I do want to share that I've gotten some texts from some people that were on the call, not just on the call, but they later listened to the recording of our last V2020 call, and they've just been so great. They loved the call and the wisdom that was shared by the three of you, Marilyn, Reverend Joan, and you, Sandy. And I want to put those quotes up on Facebook and use that as part of the promotion.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for saying that. You did a wonderful job. I still have to go back and listen to the first part of it. I was focused on getting Joan on the call. So I missed everything Marilyn said. So I'll go back and listen to her. But thank you so much.
And thank you for getting Reverend Joan. You know, it was just an amazing service. So.
Okay. Just want to say bye to you.
Oh yeah, I think we're done. Everybody, thank you for a great call. Really appreciate everything you're doing, and it's such an honor for me to be in this virtual circle with you. Joan, if you want to hang on just for a second, it would be great to reconnect. I haven't talked to you. I know that your computer. Bye, Betsy. Drive carefully.
Bye, you guys. Bye. Love you. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye. Okay. Hi there. Oh, and Brenda, she's on the call too. We're getting bad feedback from you. There you go.
Is that better?
Oh, so much better.
Okay.
You sound, yeah.
I realized I had my speaker on when I talked, so you guys probably didn't hear any of what I said after Elaine.
No, we did. It was just interrupt. It was just, had to focus a little bit harder, but now it got a little worse, but now it's better. So good. And you're well. How are you doing? I've been worried about you not having a computer. I can't imagine. I mean, or maybe it's wonderful. I don't know.
Yeah, in some ways it is wonderful. And in other ways it's kind of exasperating and I feel a little, disconnected. But the hardest part is not staying on top. And so I feel I haven't been able to access a lot of my emails. And so anyway, it is what it is. And, and just the ongoing, I'm like so over it, the ongoing stress of wondering where the money is going to come from to just have my basic bills made. So I don't know, it is what it is. So I'm not as stressed by it, but nevertheless, it's still part of my story for whatever reason. But one of the exciting things is Marilyn, I put in a proposal to be possibly on one of the panels at the Parliament for the Compassionate Cities. So there's so much, Sacramento, there's something very important happening with Sacramento. And I'm really grateful that both Brenda and I are part of this. And we're, just trying to show up.
Well, what is exciting for me in that, and I'm not, I mean, it's because you're going to be representing women and girls on that panel too. I mean, naturally.
Exactly.
And
yeah, exactly.
I don't know what it is, you guys. I'm just sharing this with you because Betsy, it looks like Betsy's still on the call. I don't know what it is, why, like, Marilyn doesn't do a whole heck of a lot to like get the word out of what we're doing or to help encourage seeing more. I know I don't think there's malice. I don't. I think she's just got too much going on and too many things to focus on. And, honestly, education is her thing. So this really excites me that, and Brenda too, did you say? How did you find out about this? How did you get the opportunity? Did she call you?
Marilyn sent it to both Laura and I because we're the co-founders. Yeah. And so Laura's not going. And so Laura and I discussed and she has helped me write a proposal. And so I submitted the proposal. But she did it to different cities throughout the United States.
But this is Marilyn putting
Laura and I were Sacramento.
When you said you did a proposal, do you mean you did it online to the Parliament, or you sent it to Maryland?
No, I sent it to Maryland.
Okay, cool. Oh, great.
And
Okay.
so I would imagine Maryland is the one that sent it in to the Parliament, because what it sounded like is she was proposing to the Parliament to have a panel of compassionate cities and what the cities are doing in their areas to, to stimulate.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. And by not intention, but because you are going to be there, you'll be the voice of the women and girls sector, which is such a voice we want to hear. But Marilyn doesn't think that way intentionally, and so I'm just thinking it's a covert way. I know, who cares? It's a covert way of really getting, getting our word out there as how important it is to anchor women and girls in the city. So yay. And so I sure hope that all works out. And I'm really excited.
Yeah, I do too. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, and Brenda, I don't know if you've heard about it. Again, I'm out of the loop with the computer, and
Brenda's not here.
But Brenda left. Okay. Mayor Steinberg has put a call out to healers to help with the Stephon Clark's situation, and once again, I just, for whatever reason, Spirit keeps firing me up on this, but he wants all the healers to volunteer, and I honestly, what my soul tells me is it's because of how culturally the feminine is not valued. And yet it's so needed. So, they're saying, hey, we need your help, but we don't want to pay you for it. We want you to be humanitarian and from your heart and everything that the feminine represents. But so anyway, so I'm trying to figure out how to be a part of that, because of course that's my work. So that's what I want to do.
Right.
But it needs to lead to something, so anyway.
I think that's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And in terms of bringing your voice out into the world and making money out of it, I'd seriously consider putting together something that you can do on Zoom, and you can charge for it. So,
well, Brenda was talking about the new moon, and my energy, I'm more Magdalene, and so my energy goes towards the full moon, and so maybe that's where we could really work together. I have to talk with her more about that, because the energies are different, and maybe that's part of the return, to the feminine, is really starting to understand what energies are flowing for us every month that we can tap into more consciously.
Totally. Yeah. So I would just want to saturate the planet with this stuff,
Exactly. And dance, that's part of what I really wanted to, and why we're doing the grief call, is I just feel it's so important. Janet is she's a counselor, and she went through a really devastating experience, and her journey really took her back to the importance of giving back to the community, how that heals you. So anyway, I think that's what we're doing, we're doing the work.
I apologize, you guys. I'm on my smartphone, and I haven't figured out. They shouldn't give smartphones to dumb people. I haven't been able to figure out how to disconnect from this call.
Don't worry about it. We're closing up here. Joan, I'm so, I know, right? Listen. Let's just go all in the call. I'm just so glad to have heard your voice and to know you're well. And thank you for everything you're out in the world doing. And okay, what a great call today.
thank you, Sandy, for everything you're doing. And, you know, we're all just moving forward. So many blessings. And sorry you can't get off the call. We'll help you with that by saying goodbye.
Okay.
You know, I'm still learning. I've had this thing for over a month now, and I'm still learning. And it's like, I'm sitting here going, okay, I'm trying to drive. I can't get off the call. It's interesting listening to you guys, but it's like, oh my gosh, they shouldn't give these to Polish retarded people. So anyway, I'm just kidding. It's you make it
I'm
humorous
impressed.
sometimes.
Hey, you're on Zoom. That's no easy feat to get on Zoom on your phone. So
I downloaded the app. So because like Joan, I mean, I still haven't gotten all my computers 100%, but my smartphone has been very helpful. It's just now I can't figure out how to get off of it. And
well, hang on. All right. Have a great
all right, you guys have a good day. Love you.
All right.